as I am. Summoned outward I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take me as I am. Summoned outward I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take me as I am. Summoned outward I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take me as I am. Summoned outward I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me. Take me as I am. Summoned outward I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me.
Hello and welcome to this time of reflection for the week of March the 25th until March the 31st. This is the fourth week in the season of Lent, and we are continuing to explore our theme, Good Enough, embracing the imperfections of life and of faith. I am here in my office in the church, which is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, the Squamish, the Musqueam, and the Tsleil-Waututh nations. And I am grateful not only to be able to work and to serve on this land, but also to be able to live here on this land that has been so carefully stewarded for centuries by the Coast Salish people, and not just the land, but the air that I breathe and the waters that surround me. And we make these acknowledgments every time we gather on this land as part of our commitment to the truth and reconciliation process, and as a reminder to the imperfections of our history and of our current day and age, and as a way of inviting us to be mindful and to be actively prayerful about our relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. So as we begin, we light this candle, this Christ candle, that reminds us of our call to be a reconciling people, that reminds us of this deep and abiding light that is within each and every one of us. This light, which is a divine spark. It's in all of created things, and it gives us a sense of hope and a sense of possibility for who and what we were meant to be, and who and what we can be when we lean into and when we acknowledge the divinity, the sacred nature of one another. Today, we gather around what for many will be a familiar story, the story of the prodigal son. And I'm going to read it to you as we will be sharing it on Sunday morning. It's from the 15th chapter of Luke's Gospel. So as we say when we gather and we read in the sanctuary of the church, whether you take what is written in the Bible as fact, metaphor, myth, or story, listen to these words now, for the meaning they hold for you on this day. Now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to him, of course being Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between them. And a few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, where he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout the country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough to spare? But here I am, dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet, and get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And they began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound.' Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, 'Listen, for all these years I've been working like a slave for you, and I've never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him.' Then the father said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found.'" May the Spirit bless us with wisdom and wonder as we ponder the meaning of these words for our lives. Well, those of us who have heard that story many, many times, especially those of us who have spent lots of time in the church, we often identify ourselves with the older brother, the one who stayed home and did what he was supposed to do. He's the one who I often identify myself. And in fact, Anne, our children and family minister, who's going to be preaching this Sunday, she's going to talk a lot about the elder son. But I want to think a little bit about the prodigal, about the one who launches out and actually leaves home and tries something new. Because what is often the case in life is that when we do risk to launch out and try something new, part of that risking often involves failure. It often involves mistakes. And what can happen to us when we make mistakes in life is that we blame ourselves. We feel guilt and we feel shame. So much so that many people fear to return back home, whether home is literally the place that they were raised, or whether home is the place that we understand to be the place where we are loved. And so we keep ourselves from experiencing the love and the grace that is embodied in this story by the Father, because we feel so much remorse, guilt, shame for what we've done in the past. And so we tell ourselves a story about not being worthy of love and grace. I found myself wondering as I was thinking about this story a bit this week, whether or not the older brother, the elder son, would he consider taking a risk that would lead him out into a place of potential failure? Would he consider leaving home after seeing his brother leave home, come back, and discovering a kind of unconditional love? Well, not just a kind, but unconditional love. Isn't it true that we would take more risks in life if we knew that we were loved no matter what? Now, that's not an invitation to go out and live in dissolute ways, or to engage in dissolute living, which is how the scriptures describe what the younger brother did. It's not a free ticket to go and sin boldly, but maybe it is an invitation to risk doing things for the sake of love, for the sake of newness, for the sake of what's described in this passage as a death and a resurrection. Would we be more willing to do that? Would we be more willing to leave home, as it were, if we knew deep within our being that we will always be loved, that we are always loved? And knowing that we are always loved, how might that impact the way that we look at one another? How might it impact the elder brother in us if, instead of living out of a place of jealousy or a place of blaming others for decisions that we've made in our own lives that have held us back, we lived with the kind of compassion and the kind of open-handed, open-armed stature that the father in the story appears to live with. Each week in this series, we've been ending with a blessing. This week, I want to, a blessing that comes from the book Good Enough, that we've been using for our devotions and to inform our reflections during this season. Today, I want to share with you what's known as the Other Serenity Prayer. It's written by Eleanor Brown, and it goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to stop beating myself up for not doing things perfectly, the courage to forgive myself because I am working on doing better, and the wisdom to know that you already love me just the way I am. As you head into this week, may God, who has created you and loves you, even when you make mistakes, maybe especially when you do, may Jesus, our companion guide on this crooked pathway that we call life, and may the Spirit that loves to improvise in surprising ways, may this trinity of love, compassion, care, and energy be with you, dwell within you, and even give you joy in the midst of what continues to be a challenging and a difficult time in our world. Blessings be. Amen.
Take, oh, take me as I am. Summon out what I shall be. Set your seal upon